in a world that just feels constantly like loud, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Haven't you ever just wondered what real quiet actually sounds like?
Mhm.
Or maybe what it doesn't sound like?
Yeah, definitely. And we've got some really interesting sources today, kind of kicked off by this list from 10 most today about the world's quietest spots.
And it turns out quiet isn't just one thing. It's broader and frankly more intriguing than I first thought.
Absolutely. That's what struck me too, just how varied these places are. It's not only like remote wilderness, which you might expect.
Right.
We're seeing silence that's actually engineered, places that are naturally quiet and really desolate landscapes, and maybe most surprisingly, quiet found even in cities.
Yeah, it really makes you rethink where quiet can even exist.
Mhm.
So our mission for this deep dive basically is to explore this whole spectrum of quiet. We want to understand, what makes these places so incredibly still.
And maybe what we can learn from them, from these
Right.
pockets of silence.
Exactly. And perhaps it'll make you think a bit about quiet in your own, probably, let's face it, much noisier life. Okay, so where should we start? How about with silence that's actually created?
Yeah, let's do that. And when you talk about intentionally creating silence, one place really jumps out, Building 87 at Microsoft in Redmond.
Building 87, okay.
It's got these things called anechoic chambers, rooms designed specifically to, well, completely absorb sound reflections, like all of them.
Anechoic. So zero echo
Yeah.
at all. That sounds weirdly quiet, almost unreal. What's the point? Why build that?
Well, for the teams there, like the Microsoft Audio Lab, these chambers are just crucial. They use them to test the pure audio performance input and output of devices, think Cortana or their Surface tablets.
Ah, okay. So you need total silence to hear just the device.
Exactly. Imagine trying to fine-tune a voice assistant if you've got room echo or background hum interfering. This kind of engineered silence lets them measure things incredibly precisely.
That makes total sense. Isolating the source. Okay, now, there was another man-made quiet place mentioned, Orfield Laboratories, in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. That one sounds like they've taken it even further.
How so?
Well, the description mentions double steel walls, concrete that's a foot thick, even vault-style doors. It's an acoustics and architecture test facility.
Wow. So serious soundproofing.
Totally. They've engineered their anechoic chamber to reach noise levels around, get this, -9 decibels, -9.
-9. But isn't 0 decibels like the absolute quietest thing we can normally hear?
Pretty much, yeah. 0 is generally seen as that threshold. So -9 is, well, it's significantly quieter than anything we can typically perceive. It's almost an absence of sound pressure.
Okay, that's blown my mind a little. It's quieter than silence. The source said people often can't handle being in there for long, maybe 20 minutes. Why would that be? You'd think pure quiet would be relaxing.
It's actually fascinating. See, our brains are constantly processing sound, even subliminally. When you take all external sound away, what happens?
You hear nothing.
You hear yourself, your own internal body sounds, your heartbeat, maybe blood moving in your ears, your breathing. They suddenly become incredibly loud, almost overwhelmingly so for some people.
Whoa.
Yeah, some people feel really disoriented, maybe uneasy, because all the usual auditory cues we use to sort of place ourselves in the world are just gone.
Huh. That really shows how much we rely on sound without even realizing it.
Exactly. And the fact they use it to gauge how quiet or loud products are, like how faint a hum is, just shows the extreme level they've reached.
Wild. Okay, so that's engineered silence. Let's shift gears to the natural world, the huge, vast, quiet places. First one up. The Kelso Dunes, Mojave Desert.
Right. The source calls it the largest area of aeolian sand deposits.
Aeolian. What does that actually mean in this context? Is that wind-related?
Yeah, exactly. Aeolian just means formed by the wind. So these are massive dunes built up over ages by wind blowing sand around.
Okay, got it. And the quiet.
The source suggests it's down to a couple of things. Sheer remoteness, for one. It's just far from stuff. And the harsh conditions mean not many cars, fewer planes flying over, and honestly, not a whole lot of wildlife that can thrive there either.
So it's quiet because there's just not much there making noise, human or animal.
Pretty much a natural sound buffer created by distance and emptiness, you could say.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay, next up, the Makgadikgadi Pans in Botswana. Huge salt flats, apparently one of the world's largest.
Yeah, 3,900 square kilometers, massive. And this one's interesting because its quietness is seasonal.
Seasonal, how so?
Well, during the dry season, it's this vast, flat, empty, very salty place. Very little wildlife, extremely quiet. But then the rains come.
And
It transforms. It can become this vital wetland, attracting tons of animals, birds, zebras, wildebeest. The whole soundscape changes. It becomes a hub for safari trips then.
so it shows how even these big, quiet, natural places aren't necessarily static. The silence can come and go.
Exactly. It's dynamic.
Okay, then we have Antarctica, which just sounds silent, doesn't it? The source even used the word deafening to describe the quiet there.
That's a powerful description, deafening quiet. And it fits because there's virtually no human noise pollution, no cities, no roads, no industry.
So what do you hear, if anything?
Just the natural world, really. The wind, maybe the crack or groan of ice, the call of a penguin or a seal, perhaps, but mostly vast, profound stillness, dominated by nature's sounds or often the lack of them.
Wow, okay. Slightly different feel. Landmannalaugar in Iceland. Described as a quiet, open road known to hikers. So not total isolation like Antarctica.
Right. This seems like a different flavor of quiet. It's probably more about the sheer scale of the landscape, the openness, and just the relative lack of human-generated noise compared to, say, a town or even a busy park.
So maybe you hear the wind, a stream, other hikers sometimes.
Yeah.
But the overall vibe is tranquility.
Exactly. It's a quietness people seek out for that connection with nature, even if they aren't completely alone in the strictest sense.
Okay, let's move into slightly more enclosed natural spaces, Olympic National Park, Washington State. What stood out to me was the note that it's one of the only wilderness areas of America that's uncrossed by highways. That feels huge.
Oh, absolutely huge. No roads slicing through means a massive reduction in vehicle noise, which creeps into so many other supposedly wild areas.
Right.
Plus, it's home to the biggest coniferous forest over the U.S. states. All those trees, that dense vegetation, it acts like a natural sound absorber, dampening sounds within the park.
Like nature's own soundproofing.
Sort of, yeah. And then there's Kieldermyres in Britain, identified as the largest area of blanket bog in England. Now, I wasn't entirely sure what exactly is a blanket bog.
Good question. It's basically a type of peatland.
Yeah.
Forms in cool, wet, often hilly areas. It kind of just covers the landscape like a blanket, hence the name.
Oh, okay. And that makes it quiet.
Well, they tend to be pretty undisturbed environments, not much human activity. And the ground itself, being waterlogged peat and vegetation, can actually absorb sound quite well. It contributes to that feeling of stillness, of peace.
Makes sense. The ground itself muffles things. Okay, this next one feels like a curveball. Zurich, Switzerland.
Yeah. According to this Worldwide Hearing Index thing, it has the lowest incidence of noise pollution, a major city, as one of the quietest places. How does that even work?
It's fascinating, isn't it? It really underlines that quiet isn't just about being remote. It can actually be a result of deliberate choices. Urban planning, maybe.
Like what kind of choices?
Things like strict regulations on noise levels, maybe big investments in quiet public transport, building codes. Perhaps even just cultural attitudes towards noise play a part. People deciding quiet is valuable.
That's a different way to think about it.
And the source contrasts it directly with Guangzhou in China, which apparently has the highest recorded noise pollution. Really shows the difference those choices can make.
So a city can cultivate quiet to some extent. Okay, one last place. This one sounds intriguing. The Tacubaya Cenote in Mexico. A hidden quiet.
Yeah, the description mentions you can only get there with a guide. It's in the Tulum jungle.
So exclusivity is part of it. Fewer people.
That seems key. Being off the main tourist track limits visitors and, the noise they bring. Plus, it's a cenote, a natural sinkhole filled with water.
And that affects the sound.
It likely does. The water itself can absorb sound, and being enclosed, maybe partially underground, surrounded by a jungle, it all probably contributes to this unique, quiet atmosphere the source mentions. A serene, hidden spot.
Wow. Okay, so thinking back on this whole range, from Microsoft's labs to Antarctica to a swim city, it's clear quiet isn't just one simple thing, the absence of noise.
Not at all. It can be meticulously engineered. It can be a natural result of geography. It can change with the seasons. Or it can even be, like Zurich, a deliberate outcome of how we choose to live together.
Right. The reasons for the quiet are just as varied as the places themselves. Tech design, isolation, environment, conscious decisions.
Exactly. All feeding into that feeling of stillness.
So here's something for you. Listening right now, probably in a place that isn't -9 decibels.
Yeah.
What does real quiet actually mean to you?
Yeah, and having heard about these different kinds of quiet, how might finding or even just creating small moments of quiet in your own daily life, how might that actually benefit you, your focus, maybe your well-being?
Definitely something worth thinking about, finding your own little pocket of quiet in all the noise.